Okay, so fun times, good rhymes. Upon watching the playback before putting things public, uh, the video just ends. Like, the second half of the video just is gone. So instead of dorking around and like, oh, I'm gonna take it down and re-record the whole thing, no, it was good, so I'm gonna leave it. I'm just gonna start back over with the Merrifields here as a part 2, and I will just put both these videos public at the same time, which you will already know because in your timeline, that's already happened. So I got my water, I got my loud dog who I was talking to when that video cut off. He was chewing on his foot like a weirdo. So let's get into it. Hi, if you're new here, my name's Cozy, and I don't normally mess things up this bad. This is the first time it's really gone this badly. I do like to talk about sister wife-related reality television shows here on YouTube. I do want to remind you this video is for entertainment purposes only. These are not facts. These are just my opinions about public figures sharing their lives publicly. So we're cool, and frankly, I have a lot to say about the Merrifield, so maybe it's best this is in 2 parts. So, we're going to jump back over. I'm going to try to be just as entertaining as I was before. So, after a week off from Garrick, we're back at it with them. Danielle's like, listen, we've been back in the States for a few months. Being pregnant now is harder than being pregnant at 20. That's kind of typical. I feel like, well, I don't have any room to talk. My second pregnancy was a lot harder because I was pregnant with twins. I'll be 35 on Sunday. So, it would be a geriatric pregnancy now. If I got pregnant, I don't plan on doing that, but just trying to share in the same vein as Danielle because hers is also a geriatric pregnancy. I said that like I am. I'm not. The baby, and they say here, who we believe is a girl. It is a girl. I don't know if this is just weird phrasing. I don't know what it was. Whatever. He is back to chewing on his foot. If this video cuts out again because this dog is chewing on his foot, he is not allowed to be in here when I'm filming anymore. But we see them self-filming at an airport looking for someone. And Garrick's like, hey, I'm feeling really good about where Danielle and I are. Things arose, but I'm feeling good about how we dealt with it as a family. And he and Natalia have been talking to a lawyer working on, the fiance visa. And if I were that lawyer, I'd probably run far and fast from this. But what do I know? That's just my opinion. So he misses her, and he is just waiting impatiently for when she will be here, they can live together full time. So we're getting this interspersed footage at the airport, like I said, and Danielle's getting a text where she's like, somebody's missing. So Garrick's like, listen, in the meantime, Danielle sort of struck up this friendship with a woman online. And, she's like, listen, we weren't expecting anything to happen, but she reached out to us, and since we're a plural family, we really can't say no to that. We don't shut people out. You might want to, because this is the same thing you did with Roberta. I believe that woman's name, I feel like it was Leah. I could be wrong. It might not be. And that whole thing just fell apart. Just like fell apart. There is no way that Natalia is going to stay after this. I'm calling it now. So we're picking at Miriam, a potential sister wife. If she likes them, I guess. So at least this time Miriam's from the U.S. There's no weird immigration red tape where they have to go somewhere crazy. She can just come straight to them. And Danielle's like, she speaks English, which is sort of a weird feeling for Danielle. Being able to easily communicate with someone hasn't been the norm. And that is probably a better way that she and I could have phrased that. Garrick shares that Miriam has a 2-year-old daughter and comes from a Muslim family. So she's familiar with the plural lifestyle. In fact, her mother had a sister wife, so it's really not that outside of the norm to her. Danielle says that Miriam reached out to her, and that Miriam said that she saw the love of God in their family. And Danielle insists over and over, it was never her intention to start dating. Danielle just responded to her, thanking her for her support. And then communication continued, and they grew into a connection. And Garrick's like, listen, I really haven't had time to get to know her well. And Danielle thought it made sense to invite her from to Colorado from Michigan to see where things go. I bet I can guess where they go. So Danielle's like, this is exciting. We built our home for this plural lifestyle, so it'll be like a taste of what it would be like to have a sister wife here full time. And Garrick's already planning to get this lady in bed, I can tell. Like, I can see it already. That is what's going to go down. Garrick says that Natalia knows about Miriam, but just doesn't want to hear about it at all. She told Danielle, you can take care of this, and if it develops into something more, then I'll get involved. So they haven't told Natalia that Miriam's coming to visit. Great. That's going to go absolutely perfectly. Like, there is no possible way that this could go wrong. These two are doing everything exactly right, I think. And they think that just because of the focus of the trip is to find out if Miriam is a friend or more than a friend is a good justification for their deception to Natalia. Natalia is gonna flip out. So I genuinely don't remember how the date with the other woman went down when Roberta was in the picture. I have an inkling Danielle was behind that one also. Because it kind of feels like she does everything she can to get rid of the women that Garrick specifically picks, to try and set him up with women she would prefer he choose. So she has this great connection with Miriam, right? And she's feeling like she doesn't have a connection with with Natalia, so find a way to sever the tie, maybe? I don't know. I could be really, really wrong. It's just a vibe that I'm getting. But she really doesn't seem worried or fazed that they're not being honest with Natalia, or that their sister wife doesn't want them doing this. I really doubt any of this is going to work out long term, so it probably doesn't even matter. Danielle says that Miriam knows about Natalia being a wife, and that she knows Natalia is really struggling right now. But they don't want that to affect Miriam, because they want to give her her time and respect. Okay. Sure. So they find Miriam. There's lots of hugs, and Danielle's like, oh my gosh, you're so small, you're so tiny. And she is kind of tiny, to be honest. She's not super tall. Garrick's like, I'm still nervous. And Danielle's like, he's got sweaty hands. And he's like, my hands are always sweaty. Lovely. That's the first impression I want to give people always. So Miriam tells him not to be nervous, and she is just smiling away at Danielle. So it's very clear that Danielle and Miriam seem to have some type of connection. But we get to hear from Miriam, and she says that she can see herself in a plural family as long as everyone is on the same page. She's nervous about how she fits in and whether or not they're even going to like her. So in the car, Danielle says baby's kicking, and Miriam reaches over to try to feel, but it appears baby stops. And Danielle's like, listen, this happens all the time. I'll grab Garrick's hand and be like, she's kicking away. And then the second he touches her, baby stops. So, I don't know, maybe baby has a complex. I don't know. So Miriam's like, she thinks that Garrick is very handsome with beautiful blue eyes. I don't see it. Go off. I honestly don't think that any of the men on this season are that attractive, but the women seem to treat them like they're Adonis. So, like, maybe I'm missing something, but they're none of them. I don't think there's a single one that if I saw them out in public, I'd be like, oh, hey, and give it a second glance. I'd probably just keep walking. So she is excited to meet them face to face so they can see if they have chemistry. And Danielle's dad actually greets them when they get back. Oh, how is everybody? Meets Miriam, gives her a hug, just kind of checks in with everybody. So Danielle's like, it is so surreal to have someone here in the States who speaks English and can actually just be in our home. I'm sure it is a little strange. You've been sort of like, Garrick's been a passport bro, essentially, of sorts, this entire time. So I don't know if you should get used to it, because it seems like when he joked about, next time we'll have to get a woman from France and all this other stuff, it seems like he's pretty interested and content to keep going across the country for things. So they're showing Miriam around, and they show her Garrick's room. Because if you recall, he is the one that gets the permanent stationary room while the wives rotate in and out. I do wish they had moved poor Danielle's bras before filming the bathroom, but what are you gonna do? So Danielle says she feels the same connection to Miriam in person as she did over the phone. So she's excited to continue for the next few days. And Garrick feels like Miriam's beautiful, and they didn't get catfished. So they show her the sister room. Thanks, I hate it. This is the room that the wives need to share. And she selects a bed, and Danielle's like, if you want that one, we can talk about it later. And this room actually seems pretty small with 2 beds in it, because I thought their goal was to have all of the wives in one room. So where are the other 3 going to go? I still think it's super weird to give Garrick his own room and to have the women share like this is some sort of weird college dorm experience. Because, listen, I've said a lot over the years of watching this show, just in my personal life, that I think the idea of giving Garrick his own room is kind of gross. probably unhygienic. Like, is he going to change the sheets every day? Probably not. Like, just being serious. And I mean, I look at this now and I think, Danielle is pregnant. Would I want to be sharing a room in that state? Would I want to be sharing a room with the pregnant woman? Imagine you're getting up at all hours of the night because you have to pee or you have to throw up or whatever it is. And now you're trying even more so to just not bother a sister wife. Because think about it. You bother your spouse when you get up to do those things, potentially. But that's your spouse. That's somebody that is there, that they love you, that they understand, all that stuff. Now you're talking about a sister wife. And if you have, a contentious relationship with that sister wife or anything at all, she could see every single bump you make in the night as some reason to just hate you. So now you're dealing with that. And then the baby's born. So now you're sharing a room with at least one other wife. You're trying to nurse. You're trying to sleep wherever you can. Is the sister wife going to let the baby stay in the room with you if that's what you choose? How does this whole thing work? And how does that work on nights where you're with Garrick? Do you have to take the baby with you? Is there a nursery that everybody just leaves the babies in? Do you have to go sleep on the floor in the nursery? Okay. Listen, I did actually have to sleep on the floor in our daughter's room for a long time because they wouldn't sleep unless you had your hand on their back or continually patting their butt. That lasted for 6 months. Boy, you are snoring so loud, sir. Oh my goodness. You'd think my husband's here, how loud this dog snores. Like here in this room. He is not. So I think when you consider that most polygamous families at least give the courtesy of letting each of the wives have their own room, their own space where they can feel comfortable. Because now, once again, you're talking about a room where you can't decorate it to whatever you want it to be. You aren't necessarily able to have things just be the way that you want it to be because either A, the room is too small for everybody to fit into comfortably. B, your decor is going to clash with somebody else's. C, you don't necessarily want to have pictures of you and Garrick around that could make other people uncomfortable depending on what the circumstances are. This was the last family I'd ever want to join. I would rather sleep alone than have a roommate like this at 35. And when I say that, I mean, Garrick's not around, so I'm going to... Garrick... Any husband is not around, so I am going to bed by myself, in my own room, in my own space. That is what I mean by sleep alone. So Garrick thinks that if Natalia would just work through her issues, if she would just work through them, she would really like Miriam. And if things with Miriam are serious, Natalia is just going to have to suck it up and deal with it, is essentially what Garrick is telling us. And that's super unfair to just place everything on Natalia. I am pretty sure that you promised her that you were not going to be dating again until she was in the States, just like you promised Roberta. Just the same as you promised Bert. And if she is not okay, it is not just on her. Alone in the kitchen, Danielle asks Garrick, how are you feeling so far? And he's like, she makes me happy. They're hoping for the best, and they're going to cross the bridge of Natalia's feelings when they come to it. Pretty sure you already come to it and burnt it straight down, bro. That's my opinion. So I was writing out my notes, right? And I'm standing at the kitchen counter because I was working on dinner at the same time. I had chicken in the oven. I had some other things going, and I didn't need to necessarily stare at everything, but I needed to be in the same space. So I'm typing up my notes as I'm watching the show. And then all of a sudden, I am literally banging my head on a kitchen cabinet because these two Looney Tunes are bringing Sam and Samantha over to meet Miriam. I am standing there just banging my head lightly on this cabinet. So now I'm thinking they're insane. My head was slightly hurting. Fantastic. And Garrick says, this is the first time they'll meet a sister wife or a potential sister wife in person. I am not sure that any of that is to your advantage. At all. So Danielle's like, it's probably right to be nervous. Or Danielle's like, I'm nervous, and it's probably right to be nervous. And Garrick accuses Sam and Samantha of both being bad cop. And Danielle's parents are good cop. Danielle's parents are good cop because they don't push back on you the way that Sam and Samantha do by telling you, listen, I think you're crazy. You probably shouldn't be doing this. Samantha kept telling Danielle, you're moving too fast. This isn't a safe place for you to be in. So anyway, they arrive with their kids, which is probably not the best idea. These kiddos do not need to be exposed to this mess, not at all. But Miriam is excited to meet everyone, and she is worried about the questions a little bit. Danielle says that she's had a hard time in the past that they couldn't just like go to Sam and Samantha and get their opinions because they'd never met one of the women in real life. And you did get their opinions, you just didn't like them and didn't want to listen to them. So she thinks it'll help them feel more settled about Miriam. Come on, guys. It really doesn't matter what anyone says, does it? Like, be serious. No matter what anybody says, because we've seen them tell you 1,000 times what they think, how they feel, what the expectations are. You've ignored them every single time. So Miriam offers up baklava, and I am jealous. Husband decided, okay, so for Mother's Day, I didn't want to make any choices, right? And so I was like, if you want to take me out to dinner, take me out to dinner, but I don't want to have to think about where. And so husband all of a sudden is like, I've got the perfect idea. And I was like, okay. So I love Greek food, Mediterranean food. I love that kind of stuff. And he says, we're going to go to insert this Greek place here that I don't think has expanded to many places in the United States, and I don't want to give away where I live. So when we went, I love Greek food, so I was down. I was so thrilled. But my thing was, if I don't get some baklava, nobody's going to have a good day. I love baklava, and I need to learn how to make it. My mother knows how. I'm going to have to learn how, though. So Miriam explains that where she lives is a big Middle Eastern community, to the point where signs are written in both Arabic and English. And being from the Midwest, I think I might actually be able to guess what city in Michigan she's from. But if I don't want to do it because, one, if I'm wrong, I'm going to look dumb. And if I'm not wrong, then I'm going to feel like I sort of doxed her, so I'm not going to do that. But I think I have a guess. She explains that where she's from, it's a tradition to offer sweets to people when they visit, which I thought was very sweet, that she brought this baklava. That's fantastic. So Sam shares that he doesn't necessarily have reservations about the lifestyle as much as he does who is Garrick actually going to end up being with. And so Garrick is doing these same things over and over again, Sam says, and he just wants Garrick to slow down, get to know these women better, look for the red flags, acknowledge the red flags. I can't blame him, because Garrick is doing the same things over and over again. He's doing the exact same thing that he did with Roberta that ended that relationship to Natalia. So, Samantha asks what made Miriam interested in Garrick and Danielle. And she's like, listen, I love the closeness in your family. I think that's wonderful. Danielle seems very supportive. And Sam asks, were you specifically looking for polygamy, just friendship? And Miriam's like, I was just sort of open to whatever God was going to give me. Miriam's never met someone like Danielle before, someone who she actually thinks is being genuine and that there would be no issues of jealousy between them. Samantha says that in meeting Miriam for the first time, it made things sort of seem more real, more solidified. She rightly pointed out, they've never really lived polygamy. It's always been like going on vacation and then they get to come back home and going for months without seeing the other woman. And she just wants them to go slow because they definitely could easily get hurt again and that would be devastating. Which is probably going to happen because of the way they're doing things. So Samantha asks, how does your family feel about you dating a Christian couple? And what would happen if you decided to convert to Christianity? And those are really great questions for sure. I know in my own family of the siblings, myself and my siblings, there is a father-in-law that one of us has that like actively laughs when biblical things are brought up, makes fun of things that to most of us are pretty deeply held beliefs. And it's definitely a tough dynamic. So when other belief systems are at play, everyone needs to be sort of patient, understanding, you need to listen. Miriam's like, I don't have any plans on converting. And the look on Danielle's face says it all. She's got kind of this like, she never anticipated that was going to be, the answer. But Samantha's like, so how do you guys feel about that? And Garrick says, well, Miriam asked if he'd ever looked into her religion, and Danielle's like, it's a beautiful religion. But I think they just had their world rocked just a little bit. I really think that they assumed that if she wanted to join them, she would just convert if she chose them. So Garrick says that they want to be on the same page religion-wise, but they don't know anything about Islam. So them sitting there like, it's a beautiful religion. They don't actually know anything, which, okay, that's okay to be ignorant of it. It's fine. And you can be polite about it. That's fine too. You've been talking to her for a little bit, and you didn't think to look at anything at all? That's okay. Um, so Samantha sort of like goes over her shoulder and she's like, hey, what are the differences in these religions? And Miriam's like, am I the first Muslim you've ever met? And Samantha's like, yes. Sam's like, no, but you are the first person I've spoken to about religion like this. And Miriam explains things are not as the media portrays it. There's peace and welcoming in the household and a lot of warmth. And Samantha's like, I get that from you. This is going well. But there definitely are moments of like tension and some awkward feelings, or maybe it's just the way it's filmed. But Samantha's like, I get a good feeling from Miriam. There's some peace there. And she really feels like Miriam's being very genuine. Her greatest concern would be how the relationship would work together when the religions are so different. Would it cause trouble? Would it cause chaos instead of unity? I do understand where she's coming from. So, obviously, Samantha holds to her beliefs very strongly too. So I wonder if she's coming up with where the Bible discusses not entering into covenants with someone who is unevenly yoked. So in 2 Corinthians, Paul, writing a letter to the Corinthians, specifically says, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. And a lot of people just assume that just means marrying an unbeliever. And while that's true, there's definitely a deeper meaning to it, of specifically not letting the world water down your beliefs or synchronize with theirs. So I can see how Samantha would definitely have some concerns about how this could work out if this is something that she believes in. And so Danielle's like, religion is really a hard topic to talk about sometimes, but it's important. And Miriam says, you have to have an open mind to talk about it. And I actually disagree here. I don't think you should go in with an open mind. I think you should go in with an open heart. And I'll explain it. Faith is very personal, obviously. I have deeply held beliefs, like, I am very strong in them. And so what I believe is that your mind should be set. You should know what you believe. You should know it, and if it is a true belief, you should be able to hold on to it mentally, even if you're presented with other thoughts. But your heart should be open to being kind and respectful and understanding of another person, because there's no reason to treat somebody badly even if you disagree on the fundamentals. So I'm less about the open mind in that situation and more about the open heart. I think that the love and respect and the kindness is the more important part. I don't know if any of that makes sense at all. I could be, somebody's going to go, I think you're just an idiot, and that's fine too. It's just how I think about it. But Miriam says that she thinks she has an open mind to hear others out, but ultimately she's going to do what's good for her. Sort of similar to what I've said. Samantha looks nervous at this, but it's understandable. She would be nervous. This is kind of her first introduction to something so different. And Danielle and Miriam go out to lunch while she's visiting, and Garrick got a migraine, so he's not coming. Oh, boo. However, will they enjoy themselves without Mr. Ick? But Danielle asks, what is it that Miriam says in Arabic before eating? And so she teaches her the Arabic for in the name of God. And Miriam's like, I'm so excited that you want to learn. And they are taking the opportunity to just have some quality time together. And Danielle, she's never really had this chance before. Like, let's be serious. She hasn't. Everybody has either been, well, everybody's been in another country. When would she have been able to take this time? And frankly, while they're in other countries on these things, everybody, her, Garrick, whomever, they're all trying to get to know each other all at once. So she shares that she shares with Miriam that she has been considering going to do a maternity shoot. I can't talk. Going to do a maternity shoot because she never did it with either of her boys. And you know what? I didn't either with either of my pregnancies. The first one, I was so super depressed the entire time that I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And the second time, I was so sick and in so much pain. And then went into labor at 35 weeks. So I really didn't have an opportunity there either. But Miriam suggests that Danielle should have a baby shower too. Like, go get this maternity shoot and then do a baby shower. And Danielle's like, I really don't have any friends to do that. And Miriam's like, okay, fine, but you have family. So Danielle's like, Miriam, how many more kids would you want to have? And she's like, 1 or 2 biologically, but she'd really like to adopt. And she's definitely been interested in fostering and has been sharing that with Danielle. She feels like she's just a mama to everyone. She's got a lot of love to give. And Danielle's like, this is an excellent quality, especially if there's more wives and children around. This will be great. So Danielle's like, listen, you have helped me out with beauty things too. And Miriam's like, every woman's beautiful in her own way. Danielle's like, Samantha is my closest female friend, but this friendship with Miriam is different. It's special. Natalia isn't here, and if she was, they would involve her in the process too, Danielle says. Instead, they're going to get to know Miriam and see where this goes. But Miriam's like, hey, would you give up pork for me? I know it's a big ask. And Danielle laughs, and she's like, but I love bacon. And Miriam's like, what about turkey bacon? And Danielle's like, that's gross. No, I am not eating that. No. Turkey bacon can be gross. If you get good turkey bacon, it's okay. It is still not bacon. But Miriam repeats the question, and she's like, listen, pork is a big thing for me. And Danielle's like, I'm open to considering it, which is a long way of saying, I don't think so. But she feels like there's a lot to learn about each other's religions, each other's culture. And Miriam's like, I've never been with a white man. Miriam's like, tonight, I'm having some one-on-one time with Garrick, and she is nervous. But Garrick has been super respectful so far, so she's kind of, feeling a little bit at ease there. Miriam tells Danielle that she's nervous about tonight, because she told us, but now she's got to tell Danielle. And she says she noticed that Danielle and Garrick kind of move a little fast. And Danielle's like, yeah, tell me about it. And Miriam points out that Danielle was like, you told me you loved me after a month. And now, knowing them, she realizes that Danielle just has a lot of real love in her heart. Like, she just genuinely loves people and cares about them. But Miriam isn't used to showing a lot of affection, and she is cautious and moves way more slowly. She asks, listen, I don't want to feel pressured. I don't want to feel pressured that Garrick's going to come on to me. I don't want any of that. She says in her past that men were always trying to come at her, and she doesn't feel like that's the case here. She feels like they're going to be very respectful. She feels respected by them. And Danielle's pleased to hear that Miriam wants to move slowly, because they do move fast a lot of the time. Is this really a surprise, Danielle? You spent the first half of the season saying that, oh, we're moving too fast, we're moving too fast, we're moving too fast. But she's also bummed because they connect so well, so she really was hoping things that move a lot faster. Pick one, girl. I think you just want things to move faster because Garrick and Natalia. Like, you are not sure about this whole thing with Natalia. They agree that this has been a really good bonding time, and Danielle's like, she's never had the opportunity to do this before. They agree that they feel comfort from each other, and Danielle tells us she feels closer to Miriam than she does to Natalia. She says Natalia's got these walls up, and things just don't feel open. They don't feel natural. Part of that is probably because you can only talk through translators, so this conversation just doesn't flow very well at all. So they have brought Miriam in, and Miriam does definitely seem to be a better fit for Danielle in specific. Their relationship seems to be a better... just a better fit overall. Danielle and Miriam get along very well. They're very smiley with each other. They seem to have this connection where Danielle does not necessarily have this connection with Natalia. I think Natalia and Roberta were definitely Garrick choices. Garrick found them. He knew what he was looking for, and he went and found them. And now Danielle is sort of taking the point on this one. And I think that she's much happier here because this is the person she picked. Do you hear him? This is what he does all night long. He barks and runs in his sleep all night. It's adorable. So that was the Merrifields. I am going to sum up a little bit about the Ryans and the Davises too, since my last video cut out. But I guess with the Ryans, I'm really struggling with this because I don't want to put this on Yari. Like, I don't want to put this on her. I don't know her as a person. That's not fair. But it does feel like she's really okay with just being the mistress. And it's weird. It's uncomfortable. I don't like it. Something about it really affects me deeply. And I am uncomfortable with it. And it's really hard to watch in some way, shape, or form. Seeing the previews for next week where Becky flips out about that, I think I'm going to have a lot to say there. And as far as the Davises go, I don't know what the rest of this slumber party is going to bring, but I think that Danielle is, like, on the verge of losing it. Like, seriously, she seems really disappointed. And there were weird previews of, like, Jennifer and April, like, staring down Jasmine that I don't feel like we saw in the actual episode. but they were like these tense moments that felt really uncomfortable. I don't know what's going on, but like everything about that just feels weird. I'm not sure what's happening, but that's kind of where I have to leave it because we are out of episode. So not tomorrow, but Sunday, like I said, is my birthday. So even if I decide to film a video tomorrow and get it uploaded, whether it goes public Sunday morning or it goes public, it'll probably go public Sunday morning because this is going to go public Saturday, these two videos. If I do that, if I do a Sister Wives recap, just know your questions, your comments, all of that is going to be answered Monday. I will not be taking time out to answer comments on Sunday, which means that I know I normally come give you guys the heart when I love your comments. You'll get those Monday too, because I don't want to lose any comments. I genuinely enjoy spending time talking to you guys, and I genuinely enjoy this channel and this community. You guys are fantastic. I love you all. But Mama needs a break. It's my birthday. It's my anniversary. I'm going to go focus on my husband that day. So just know you are very loved. You are very cared for. But one day break is not going to make or break us. So if I do get that video out Sunday morning, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to yet or not. It's all going to just sort of depend on how things align. Yeah, just know I'm not ignoring you. I will be back with you shortly. I'm just going to enjoy my birthday for a little bit. So that is all I have to say for today, I think. And I will see you guys soon. Bye.